buildings are gone, leaving behind their worlds of extreme security and luxury. From the White House to the Forbidden City and the Palace at Versailles, which of these powerful places will last the longest when there's no one to declare war on nature's advancing armies? One day after people, the home of the most powerful man in the world stands unguarded. Originally known as the President's Palace or the President's House, Theodore Roosevelt made a long-standing nickname official in 1901 when he added the words White House to the presidential letterhead. The white walls of this famous house will last for a very long time, but not their distinctive color. The walls are made from aqueous sandstone, a local rock prized for its toughness. It was quarried along a tributary of the nearby Potomac River and was also used to construct the U.S. Capitol.
The White House facade is not at all smooth. It is sandstone, and the sandstone is not white.
The White House sandstone is naturally grayish. So why is the White House white? Legend has it that after the British set fire to the house during the War of 1812, it was painted white to cover up the burn marks. But in truth, soon after the walls were first completed in 1798, workers applied coats of lime-based whitewash to seal the rough stone. Later, white paint was applied as a more effective barrier against moisture. By the late 20th century, the sandstone walls were regularly repainted, each time requiring 570 gallons of white paint. If the walls are well protected, the windows are impenetrable. The Oval Office is fitted with bulletproof glass. It was first installed in 1941, after the hysteria following the attack on Pearl Harbor. Now, the bulletproof glass will keep nature out. But there is an intruder in the Oval Office. Bo, the president's dog, has crossed to the West Wing. He is the last in a long line of sometimes bizarre presidential pets, like Woodrow Wilson's sheep, Benjamin Harrison's goat, and William Howard Taft's cow. Bo is a Portuguese water dog, originally bred to work on fishing boats, diving for fish, retrieving broken nets, and guarding boats for their masters.
Portuguese water dogs are one of the oldest breed of domesticated dog, going back thousands of years. They are very competent and intelligent and can handle many different tasks.
Soon Bo will have to leave the house and use his intelligence to survive. What dangers await this pampered pet on the streets of the nation's capital? Days after people. In New York City, the vast United Nations complex once welcomed leaders from almost 200 member countries. Their flags, arranged alphabetically from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe, still flutter along First Avenue. The 39-story Secretariat Tower looms over the cavernous General Assembly building, where all 1,800 seats are now empty. In the UN's vast sub-basements, an eerie glow still filters through the hallways and offices. The These glow-in-the-dark markers guided workers safely out of the building during the 2003 Northeast blackout that darkened New York City. They owe their glow to a substance called strontium oxide aluminate. Exposed to light, its electrons are pushed to a higher energy state. In the dark, they lose energy, giving it off in wavelengths of greenish-yellow light.
The emergency lighting basically takes its energy from the regular building lights. So after the regular building lights go off, you're still going to see an eerie glow.
But these markers can only glow for up to 20 hours. With no electric lights to recharge them, this vast labyrinth will soon join the rest of the city and the world in total darkness. One week after People, around the world, mankind's leaders remain embalmed and entombed. For one great communist leader, the recipe for immortality was a botched job. Few dare to oppose China's premier, Mao Zedong, whose policies and execution orders are believed to have killed up to 70 million people. On September 9th, 1976, he died at the age of 82. Despite Mao's last wishes calling for his body to be cremated, officials debated over what to do with his corpse.
Initially, Mao's body lay in state for a couple of weeks before they started to preserve it.
In the 1970s, embalming was rare in China. So the scientists charged with preserving Mao's corpse for posterity had to first do some research.
One of the things that the scientists read was that if you embalm the body with a large amount of formaldehyde solution, it would preserve the body indefinitely, or so they thought. Specifically, 16 liters of fluid into the system. They went a little further and infused 22 liters of fluid into the system, which was a complete disaster.
The mistake caused bloating and extensive skin damage. But somehow, they were still able to create a presentable corpse that could be viewed for decades in a quartz sarcophagus in Tiananmen Square.
They bring the body up from the basement every day for a few hours, no more than 4 hours. Sometimes they don't bring the body up at all.
Will the secret of Mao's body finally be revealed in A Life After People? After People. In Manhattan's Riverside Park, no one is buried in Grant's tomb. In fact, nobody ever was. The real answer to the classic riddle, who's buried in Grant's tomb, is that Ulysses S. Grant and his wife were both entombed here, above ground. So they are technically not buried at all. Ulysses S. Grant was once the most famous man in the world. So popular was the former Civil War general and U.S. president that in 1897, when his mausoleum was dedicated, more than 1 million people showed up. The body of General Grant took a tortured path to its final resting place. Like Chairman Mao, he was the victim of a botched embalming job. When Grant, a legendary chain smoker of cigars, died of throat cancer in 1885, it was hoped his body could be preserved to go on public tour.
The body lay in the